In 1994, June Aurelio, age 39, was living with her husband and 3 children in a small house in Stillwell, Kansas, surrounded by farmland. June was seemingly without a care in the world, but all that would change when she decided to leave her home and take a walk on a beautiful early spring afternoon.
We lived in a rural area. Behind our development were just farms. I had been trapped in the house all day with the girls, and when my husband came home that night, I said, I'm going to go for a walk. I remember getting maybe a half mile away from the house, and then I don't remember anything after that.
Within minutes, the EMS and police arrived and rushed June to the hospital. Now she was fighting for her life. Doctors told her husband that she had a spinal injury and that even if she survived, she would probably never walk again.
I remember the first time I saw the word quadriplegic on a piece of paper and was horrified. I don't think that your brain even allows you to accept something of that magnitude.
Police questioned June, but like many people who suffered a severe head trauma, she had no memory of what had happened. The police had nothing to go on. A hit-and-run driver had struck her from behind and left her to die on the side of the road. In the hope of finding some clue, the police brought the clothing that June wore at the time of the accident to the Kansas City Crime Lab.
The clothing, when I got it, the request was simply to look for anything that might be there that might help locate a particular vehicle.
One article of June's clothing caught Dr. Chapin's eye, her black stretch pants. On the back of the left leg, he saw what appeared to be a pattern or kind of impression. He couldn't make out what it was. So he turned the pants inside out.
And on the inside was a much better defined image of what I saw on the outside. There was some roughly parallel lines that came across the calf. There was definite curvature where they came down. The imprint was actually from about 3 different things. First of all, it was just abraded skin cells from the calf of the leg. There was also some talcum powder. Apparently she had used body powder. We really couldn't define initially what had created this pattern. We finally decided that it very likely was a license plate.
Dr. Chapin soon realized that the images he saw could not have been made by a Kansas license plate. It must have been made by a plate from the nearby state of Missouri.
There was a pretty strong indication that there was enough dirt on the outside of the license plate that it actually, when it hit, the dirt filtered through the pants and was part of that imprint on the inside. I had never seen it before, and I've never seen it since.
When Dr. Chapin realized what had caused the images, he thought the 2 letters he saw on the upper left were an A and a P. and that the letters stood for the license's expiration month of April.
By taking that information, we were able to look at these two larger, more indistinct images. And in all likelihood, they were the first two numerals in the license plate, F5.
What officers did next was they contacted the Missouri Division of Vehicles and their investigative division. They wanted to find out who had tags that expired in April that started with an F and a 5. That yielded 28 potential suspects.
One of the names turned up in the computer search was a Jack T. Morgan. When the investigators arrived at Morgan's home, they found a car with a license that began with an F and a 5 and had an April expiration date, but they needed more evidence. Police impounded Morgan's car, and Dr. Chapin examined the license plate.
He found that the license tag contained numerous fibers, many teeny tiny fibers that were compressed in the very microscopic cracks inside that tag. When you put those together in a stereo microscope, those fibers were indistinguishable from the fibers in June Aurelio's pants.
With the evidence from the license plate, there was no doubt that the car driven by Jack T. Morgan was the same car that struck June Aurelio. Jack Morgan went on trial and was found guilty of aggravated battery with serious or permanent injury. Since Morgan was on parole at the time for second-degree murder, he ended up being sentenced to 50 years in prison. June Aurelio gradually regained her health and ability to walk again.
10 years later, after what happened to me, I feel incredibly blessed to be here at all. And I have gotten to see my girls grow up. At the time, there were plenty of days when I thought, I wish he had just gone ahead and killed me. But in retrospect, I'm glad I'm still here.